Coming up on the Pete Souza Show. How come it doesn't say the Rogue Sports Media Network up there? We're about to talk about marketing and Caitlin Clark. Right there. Looks like we swung and missed. We're going to talk a little bit about USA Basketball and Caitlin Clark, how I think it's totally overdone that she's not on the team. We're also going to talk to Murph Barton, Mike Barton Jr., our resident golf expert, about the U.S. Open, and also about the fact that he almost got into a fight playing golf for the first time in his life recently. You got to hear that story. And we also talk to Nicole Shearin, an L.A. girl living in Texas now, who is a force of nature when it comes to covering sports. And Ally Kadlubar. Ally Kadlubar is in the house. You know her. You love her. She hangs out with us and Nicole. So it's a great show. It's a lot of fun. I had Nicole and Ally in here. Maybe we'll run that first instead of Murph. We'll see what happens. I do want to talk about Caitlin Clark in USA Basketball. I think that it's overblown how the reaction, the hysteria, the mania, right, when she was not named to the team. I think people are going to watch USA Basketball, the women, play in the Olympics. And it's not going to be about Caitlin Clark. And I don't believe that when Michael Jordan and those guys went over to Barcelona in 1992, Michael Jordan was your best player. And he was a marketing dream. And there was a global component to expansion of the NBA. That was a calculated move by USA Basketball and the NBA to, at that point in time, bring NBA and professional players under the tent. One, because they had lost in '88 in Seoul with John Thompson's team, and two, because there was an opportunity there for American basketball to put itself on display and really showcase the fact that we were the best. It wasn't looked at, in my opinion, and I interned at USA Basketball, but I know a little something. I don't think it was, hey, we're going to market this sport in a sense. It's like we're going to take it global. And what I mean by that is we're going to take our talent global. We are going to dominate. And like it or not, that is going to be the authority as far as marketing is concerned. I don't think it was looked at like something where, on Fifth Avenue when they're trying to, get people marketing and stuff like that involved, that's the case. Now, I think with women's basketball, I believe that the 12 best players made the team. I think that you're not going to get like young women to buy in to women's basketball overseas because of Caitlin Clark. Yeah, they're already bought in America, and so I think there was a lot to do about that, about the marketing of the game that I don't really even think is significant. I do believe, like, if there's a little bit of an underbelly to it, if you remember, Isaiah Thomas didn't make the dream team, and there was a little bit of, hey, he was almost like frozen out because of the fact that Michael Jordan didn't like him. Yeah. And that goes back to an all-star game, reportedly, when Jordan was up and coming, and Isaiah had the all-star team freeze out Jordan. They didn't pass him the ball. And so MJ was pissed and never forgot it. And, of course, you saw in the playoffs when the Bulls swept the Pistons and the Pistons walked off the court. There was bad blood there. I think there's a little bit of that. I do believe there's a little bit of that around the league. Like, if she went and was a part of that team, it's an exhausting to do for everybody. Now all 11 of the other players are talking about Caitlin Clark. A lot of
because that's all the media would have asked her about, especially the U.S. media.
And so now I'm talking to Kelsey Plum and I'm asking her about how she's adjusting to playing with Caitlin Clark, and then those girls get it. That becomes exhausting for them. I would love to know because I don't. Like how those women feel about this choice. I don't think we have Nicole Shearin, who's going to talk to us a little bit later on about her beliefs about Caitlin Clark and whether she should have made the team. But Nicole thinks it's sort of been overblown, and I already sort of thought that. Do you think it's overblown?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Like what the media is making of the whole thing?
Yeah, like, I mean, in any other, the fact that a rookie, let alone, like, let's say this was the Caitlin Clark aside, let's say it was the NBA, and sometimes you do have phenomenal talent that comes in, but how rarely are we putting together Team USA, and it's like, oh, you know, we're going to throw like the hot shot rookie in there too.
Yeah.
If you're building a team that is a dominant team, you're putting together the pros, the veterans, the team, you know, the people that you, like you talked about, dominance is the brand. That's what you're building. So it's also just seems like it brings along with it just a lot of unwanted, just like attention then too, of like, oh, look at this, look at this, look at this. Not even from, like, it takes away from the game of basketball in a way too. So yeah, I think that it's not weird at all for her not to be a part of this, because it's crazy to think that somebody would just come in and just again, she's done a lot for the game of women's basketball, but on a global scale, it's not the same type thing.
And I'll even say this. I think you're exactly right. And that you sparked a thought for me. In 92, Christian Laettner was the lone college player on that team. And to my understanding, that was a spot that was left for one college player. And there was also a debate and a little unrest at the time that Shaq was better than Christian Laettner, and he should have made the team. I think at least Shaq had said something about it. At the time, Shaq ended up being the number 1 overall draft pick that year. Or maybe he already had been picked number 1 by the Magic. I could be wrong. Timing wise, let me think. I don't think I am. I think he was 92.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So and then the Olympics were that following summer. So yeah, I think there's it's sort of a bummer that we're like this all the time. You know, I still will watch the First Takes. I mean, here I'm talking about this stuff. I mean, clearly I'm into this, but yeah, it's a fireworks display, and sometimes it's a train wreck.
Oh, for sure.
You know.
A massive like we know, like that's the thing is, like, as soon as she wasn't announced for it, I just kind of knew, like, oh well, here's going to be a storm of just like, oh, well, we believe what's going now. There's always something. That's all there always seems to be something, one way or another.
It is good to know too that within the confines of USA Basketball, like, because you talk about these pro organizations, and if you really have been a part of a pro organization, there's two different things. I've worked for organizations that, I mean, everybody hears the noise. It's all about marketing. It's all about how your team's being perceived. But when you get into those basketball operations rooms, it's hard to crack the code as a marketing guy and say, we got to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And get those guys to receive that. Yeah. So it usually has to come on high from like an owner. And then if you're going to do something like that, make a basketball move for marketing purposes. Most of the time, the idea is let's cancel out the noise, and we're going to do the next best thing for us as a team, right? As to win. So I think USA Basketball is showing a little bit of its teeth like, hey, we want to be the best. We're going to pick the 12 best players. Here's one last thing about this that I'll say, and then we'll go to the rest of the show. Those young women that are going to play, and some now, you know, obviously adults, that are going to play in the Olympics for USA Basketball, they've been a part of the USA Basketball family for years. We're talking youth development festivals, camps before that. So by the time these women are 14, 15, they're a part of this monster that's USA Basketball. So I'm not going to say you call dibs, but there are relationships there that go above and beyond any kind of marketing opportunity, especially when you throw in the fact that you've got the 12 best.
Oh, for sure. I'm with you there. I think we're on the same page.
We're riding together, Zach, and we're riding into this show right now. We're going to start with Mike Barton Jr., also known as Murph Barton, talking about the U.S. Open, a quick segment with him. And then we get into it with Nicole Shearin and Ally Kadlubar. We talk a lot about sports and being a woman in sports, which Nicole Shearin is. And then also we talk about the media, covering the news, covering the sports. Ally is a superstar, and so is Nicole, so we're pumped to talk to them too. I want to get you started asking you, I feel like we're to the point, as we obviously are talking about the U.S. Open, where it's Scottie Scheffler versus everybody. Like, we're getting there. We really are. Do you feel like, as somebody who competes and also who watches golf all the time, Are we kind of moving into that rare air?
For sure. I think he's 3-1 to win this week, which I can't remember ever seeing. I'm sure Tiger was 3-1 back in his day, but nobody can stop Scotty when he's healthy and playing well and putting well, and he's been putting great. So I think you almost have to put money on Scotty if you're going to bet on the U.S. Open.
Who do you like after him? One guy I want to ask you about is Jon Rahm. It seems like he's been consistent.
He just withdrew.
How long ago?
5 minutes ago. He had some kind of foot infection. It was bothering him. I think the Live Tour, they were in Houston this weekend, and he may have withdrawn from that tournament. He was really struggling, and he was going to try to see if he could play, and he just withdrew.
What do you make of that?
I mean, I think it's legit. I'm sure he wanted to play. He had something going on with his toe, and it just was hurting him too much every time he swung the club. And you know, if you've ever played golf, if you are experiencing pain while you're swinging, there's just no way you can compete.
I want to. What is the threshold for that? You know, like I'm in the middle of another one of my books, like Brett Favre, and the guy was like peeling himself up off the ground playing half dead, right? Like when you're a golfer, what is the point of no return?
That's a good question, man. I mean, there's a saying, beware the injured golfer, because a lot of times when you're injured, you swing easier. You're not really in your head thinking about your golf swing. You're thinking more about your injury. So there's been many cases where injured players have performed well. I think it's mostly because they're swinging easier. And, you know, Tiger, I think, won the U.S. Open with like a broken leg or something. There's certain guys that are obviously tougher than others. I don't know how bad Jon Rahm's pain was, but it's obviously too bad for him to want to play this week.
You said a Tiger. Does he have anything in the tank?
I don't know, man. It's so hard for me to say no. I don't think so. I mean, the odds are he's going to miss the cut, but it's just so hard for me to rule him out. You know, like the magic of Tiger, I can't erase it from my brain. I see all these clips of him. He's been there since Monday. They show him hitting balls into greens, and he looks great. The reports on the ground are that he's walking well. He's been walking the course every day. So who knows, man? Maybe there's a little bit more magic in there somewhere.
It's funny. I'm watching, you know, another one of my documentaries about June 17th, 1994. I think you and I ended up at Zook's house doing God knows what. It was the night I know I was there for a little while. It was the night of the OJ chase. But it was also the same day. It was Arnold Palmer's last round at the U.S. Open. I think it was at the place in Pittsburgh. What's that? What place is that? Oakmont.
Oakmont.
And he was, I mean, it was a bummer. He was awful. You know, and you know what's funny is how good these guys are. He shot a 77, and you would have thought he shot 100. You know,
it's amazing
because he was missing putts here and there, and they did this montage in the documentary, like oh. You know, but it was like, I feel like we could be drifting in that direction with Tiger. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, where it's going to be more painful than it is fruitful.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm curious to see where he goes with his career, whether he will keep playing in these events or if it becomes obvious that he really can't compete, whether he'll stop playing, you know, because he has said many times in the past that if he doesn't think he can win, he's not going to play. And it's getting close to that point.
What do you
I think at Augusta, I think he'll play at Augusta until he can't walk anymore, and he'll always have a chance to make the cut and maybe even compete. But I think some of these, you know, US Open setups and PGA setups, I'm not sure he can really hang.
Well, we talk about Pinehurst. I guess this is the third US Open played on Pinehurst, number 2. What do you expect from the course? Like, how will it show itself as a difficult place to play?
The greens are well, there's two things there. There's not that much rough. There's fairway, and then it goes into kind of waste area, which is sandy and has like a lot of little gorse bushes. So if you miss the fairway, you could end up with like a nice lie in the sand, or you can be in a bush, which you'll probably have to chip out of back onto the fairway. And then the course's main defense is its greens. They have kind of like the upside down cereal bowl greens, which are very difficult to hold. They're
I like my cereal bowls right side up. You know that, Murph, all
yeah,
day long.
100%. And these greens are super hard. So they're not receptive. You can hit a great shot, the ball will bounce off of it, and then they're incredibly fast. Some of the players are already saying that the PGA and the USGA, they're about to lose the greens in some of the players' minds. Like they think they're too fast. So that's going to be the real challenge. You guys are going to hit great shots onto a green. It's going to bounce and then roll off down off this upside down cereal bowl into kind of sandy, bunkery areas or just back into the fairway. And you'll have to chip back up. And even those chips will be hard because of how fast the greens are.
Who does that favor? Pinehurst.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, my first thought was that it really favors the guys with great hands that lead the tour, shots gained around the green, like a Cam Smith, like Tiger's obviously incredible at that kind of stuff. Yeah, Colin Morikawa, Scheffler, like those guys have all been doing great in that stat. But then I've been hearing some other guys, Victor Hovland, I just saw him interviewed about 10 minutes ago, and he was saying he's going to try to bomb it as far as he can off the tee because he feels like, the closer you are to the green, you can hit a higher lofted club, get it way up into the air and hold the green that way. So, I think ball striking is always at a premium in a U.S. Open, and I think whoever wins is going to hit it far, hit it exactly where they want to, and have to get up and down a bunch of times around the green. You're going to have to bring every aspect of the game to Pinehurst this week if you're going to win.
So Rory's won U.S. Opens. But he hasn't won a major in 10 years. I was surprised to see that.
It's crazy.
So what does he have to do to recapture his form?
I mean, he's right there, man. He's been playing so well he's been doing really well in US Opens too the last 10 years. After he won his last US Open, he missed 3 or 4 cuts in a row at the US Open, but since then he's been good. Last year he came in second. I really felt like he kind of let that one get away last year. It was a bummer that he couldn't pull it off. I don't know, man. His game's in great form. The problem with Rory is he seems like he has a lot of stuff going on in his personal life.
Oh, Murph, I didn't know you were going to go there.
I mean, it's all over the news. He seems to be handling it pretty well. He just played, I think he top 10'd at the Memorial last weekend. The Memorial's a great kind of warm-up round for this kind of challenge at Pinehurst. The Memorial's very difficult, very hard and fast greens, difficult rough, and he played great. I mean, he didn't win, but he top 10'd. I mean, he's definitely capable of winning this week, and I probably will bet him because I always root for him. I want him to win, and it just shocks me that it's been 10 years since he's won a major, given how talented he is.
So, by the way, he gets divorced, and now, I'm a huge Balionis fan, right? First, she's just awesome at her job. I've told you that. Super cool. You root for her, too. What do you make of all these rumors and gossip around the tour as to how it affects him on the course?
I have no idea whether that's true or not. I mean, it's definitely a fun rumor because we all love Balionis. And I don't know how it affects him on the course. I mean, the guy's got a lot going on. I'm sure the divorce is very difficult. He's being asked questions about it all the time. And either he carries that with him, or maybe on the other hand, maybe when he's on the golf course, it's the only time he can escape and not think about all that stuff. And sometimes that can be a positive. So it remains to be seen. Since that news has become public, he has played pretty well. So I'm not going to not bet him because of that.
The NBC carries the U.S. Open too, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I believe they are carrying it this year, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Well, he gets a week off from that, though, at least.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
If she's there in the crowd, then we'll know the rumors are true.
Who do you like as far as long shots? I'm looking here: Scheffler, Rory, Schauffele. They're favorites, right? And then you go down to like Bryson, who tries to repeat. Who do you like? Any long shots like that people aren't talking about?
I wouldn't necessarily bet these guys to win, but I like. There's a guy named Denny McCarthy who's an incredible putter, really good around the greens. He does not hit it far off the tee, but if putting and chipping is going to be at a premium this week, you know, he might be a good guy to throw some money on to top 20. I'm a big fan of his game. I like him. He's a tough competitor. And then Tom Kim is 60-1. He's had some good showings in majors, and he's really got a great short game. Again, he does not hit it very far, but he has every shot in the book around the greens. He's a guy that I like to watch how he does things, how he hits his wedges. He's a great putter. And he's a super young kid. He's probably 22 years old. People have very high expectations for his career. And he's a guy that I'll probably put a couple bucks on.
So when you say not to win, what do you bet on him to do?
So either Tom Kim, I might bet to top 5 and to top 10, and Denny McCarthy, I might bet to top 20. Sahith Theegala, I'm a huge fan of his game. He's super creative. He's got a shot for every situation. He's like 70-1. He's been playing great the last 2 years. I mean, he's been in the hunt in every major tournament. It seems like he hasn't been able to pull off a win in a big one, but he's right there. You know, to top 10, I think he's probably a good bet. He's 70-1 to win. I think he could win. He's capable of winning. He has enough horsepower to win.
Really? Okay. So that's a good one. That's a good long shot right there.
Yeah, I like him. The guy that I really have my eye on this week is Tommy Fleetwood, because I think accuracy off the tee and with your irons is at a premium.
I got him at 40-1.
He's one of the most accurate ball strikers out there, and he's also like sneaky good around the green. I think he's top 10 shot gain around the green. And, you know, he's a guy that like he's been second, third, fifth in so many majors. He's always in contention. People have been betting on Fleetwood for so long and he lets you down. He never actually pulls it off and wins. So I think he's kind of gets forgotten about a little bit, but I would not be surprised at all if Fleetwood won this week.
What about you? How's your back?
Oh, my back is a little better than it was yesterday. I got some dry needling done this morning. I have a big member guest on Friday and Saturday. I'm trying to get myself ready.
What about the Toradol? Did you look into that at all?
Right? No, I didn't. I think I'm doing good. I'm trending in the right direction.
When's the last time you almost?
Our buddy Tony right now is going head to head against my dad in a big Stradley Cup match at Philly Country Club. Who you got?
Oh, I got your dad. No question. No question. Because Tony's still shaken up from what happened with you guys over the weekend.
You don't think he's gotten over it yet?
No, I don't. I mean, I talked to him today. Murph and Tony almost got into a fight. Playing golf, which never happens.
It's embarrassing to say that, but we did get like into a verbal altercation on the golf course.
Which, by the way, when's the last time that's happened to you? To give a little context.
Never.
How long you been playing?
10 years, probably 12 years. Competitive,
and so this happens. What exactly brings this about? Like this tension, and what happened?
Basically, like the long story short of it is the guy we were playing against, two guys. They were from Indiana. They did not give us a putt the whole day. And then, you know, later on in the match, there's a big hole, where a big point in the match. The guy had a birdie putt to win the hole. Par putt would have tied the hole. And he missed his birdie putt and then went up and swept the ball away with his putter as it was still rolling.
And was going to miss.
I called him out. What's that?
And it was gonna miss, right? Like it's still rolling.
No, it already missed. It had already gone past the hole, and it was still rolling. And in a lot of cases, it probably would have been a gimme, but they didn't give us a putt all day, so why would they expect us to give that to them? And I called him on. I said, "Hey man, I didn't give you that putt." And then he reacted like, "Oh, you're an asshole. You want to try to win this way?" And it got pretty heated. It got way more heated than I was expecting, but I was also kind of running hot at that point. I wasn't a fan of the guy and his character on the golf course. So
Tony said today that he was, well, by the way, folks, you can read into that character quote right there. Anybody that knows golf knows what that probably means. But Tony said he was over his shot, and you said to the guy, like, yo, like, and the guy was laughing because now it's like he's almost like the Joker, like, like a weird, angry laugh. And you're like, what are you laughing at, dude? And you called him a clown. And Tony said he was like, I thought it was going to happen.
This guy was huge too. So it was like, I was thinking to myself, like, I haven't been in a verbal altercation like this in a long time. And I don't want to take it too far because this guy he was like the Hulk, dude. I was like stretching my hamstrings in case I had to run.
Tony said that he was worried because everybody had clubs. This guy he's a 6'7" Division I athlete. What's happened to this guy? He said his hands were shaking. He was literally a walk-on. So he's a gritty guy who earns a scholarship.
And just age and wisdom. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to fight anymore.
He's smarter than the rest of us. Actually, I'm a wimp too. I would have thought the same thing.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, it was a shame that it had to happen that way. But the guys kind of deserve. There's no way I was letting him get away with that after what he did earlier in the match.
It's a great story too.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, anything else on the Open?
No, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what Pinehurst looks like on TV. I played there when I first started playing golf. My brother and I, this was probably 12 to 15 years ago, went down there with my dad and my brother-in-law.
This is before you were sober.
Yeah, we do this super fun thing every year that we call the Barton Cup. It's my dad, my brother-in-law, and I. And we take it so seriously. We have a huge trophy. We engrave our names in it. And this was the first time that we did this. And my brother and I were out of it. Sunday, we played number 2 on Sunday, which is like their championship course, which is where the U.S. Open is. And we were like way out of it. My brother-in-law, Mike, and my dad were competing for the Barton Cup. So Saturday night, Bear and I went out to the Pinehurst Inn, which is like a super fun bar in town, and we got way rowdy. So I don't even really remember the course. And all I remember is Mike Morcell was up on my dad. He was up by like 3 strokes, and then he got into a bunker and he couldn't get out. He had like 7 shots in the bunker. He was throwing his clubs. It was a funny day, and my dad walked away with an easy victory. So,
it was a long day for you and Bear, though.
Long day for us.
All right, times are different now, buddy.
Yeah, they are.
All right, dude, you really delivered this time.
Oh, thanks, man.
That was great.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, great job. I'll holler at you later. Nicole. So you guys really do. See, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to Nicole, and I love Ally. So, I mean, I talk to her all the time.
Right.
So I figured.
Sorry for you.
It's really not by choice.
I just call him up. Like, Pete, what do I do?
She does, and I well, it's funny. You guys really do like each other, though.
Oh, we love each other. Ally was like my first friend here.
Same.
And
I'll never forget the day I met her.
And we actually had like a revolving door of friends that they all left
Everybody
us.
leaves is our slogan.
Yeah. And we would actually go to like restaurants and stuff or like bars or like for happy hours, probably like once a week for a good stretch. And they wouldn't let us sit at at a big table because there wasn't more than two
only
of
two of
us.
us.
They'd be like, if a bigger party if someone with more friends shows up, then y'all have to like move.
Right.
So
What was the first time you met her?
So Ally, I was close with Chris Williams, and Ally and Chris and all of Channel 10 was at Freight. They were all sitting out there
Freight,
chilling.
okay, bar here in Waco.
Yep. And Chris DMs me on Instagram a picture of Ally. She was wearing red. Like, I vividly remember this. And Chris was like, come meet us at Freight. You need to meet Ally Kadlubar. You guys are going to be best friends. I didn't have any friends at the time besides like Matt Lively and Chris.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. So I go to Freight. I meet Ally. She's a hoot and a holler, as we all know.
Crazy.
The best. And we just hit it off. And then we started doing this me, Ally, and Chris lunch weekly trio. That's how it all started. Really cute.
Yeah.
And we get lunch every week. We go to a different place. And then, Chris decided to leave us. And then, Chantel joined the mix.
Chantel Robb.
Yes. We love her.
She was so awesome.
So
she was
great.
great, but
Then she left.
She left.
So,
we were
used
trying to
that.
recruit you actually,
We
Pete,
were
and
for a
you
second.
rejected us. So
I've never been invited, first of all. You guys,
we just tell you when we go somewhere.
Allie and I work the same shift. You guys go out and you go out. Allie, sometimes you go out pretty late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's kind of crazy with her
She
hours.
is. Do you remember one time you told me? I remember this. You guys were out late together, and you left her, and 2 hours later she was at work on the air.
Oh, yeah. She's built different.
She is built different.
Yeah.
There's no
But
question.
I'm kind
about
of
it.
jealous of it sometimes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you guys relate
French.
at all because you guys both went to SEC schools,
Oh, for sure.
Georgia, LSU?
Yeah,
Was
we're
there- was there a bond?
enemies.
We're enemies.
No, we're enemies. Because I remember LSU played Georgia one time, and we couldn't talk to each other.
Yeah, yeah. I think Allie and I are a little different though in that Allie is going to the games, she's killing it, she's thriving. I also thrive, but I am also more of really into the game.
I
You know what I'm saying?
can't wait. I can't remember the games. Nicole records the games. There you go.
She records them if she has to
Yes.
for work, and then mentally you were kind of watch them and
Mentally,
break them down.
I'm watching every snap. I'm watching every down. I'm really invested, right? Georgia is my identity. It is a part of me. And if they lose, I'm upset. I cried my sophomore year when they lost the national championship. I will never forget that throw against Alabama. I get heated talking about it. I bawled my eyes out in the bar that I was in.
Now, were you
Dedicated.
sports-wise? Excuse me.
I just said that's dedicated. I just go out either way,
So were you? You grew up in Manhattan Beach, California. And Allie, don't worry, we'll get to you. All right.
It's okay.
You grew up in Manhattan Beach, but you went to school at the University of Georgia. How do you end up making that transition? Did you know you wanted to get into sports broadcasting, or what was the goal?
Pete, that is the golden question. Everybody asks me that when I'm like, I'm from Manhattan Beach, but I went to Georgia. They are so confused. They're like, why? So very long story short, my mom's from Georgia, dad's from North Carolina. So I grew up in a Southern household.
What part of North Carolina is your dad from?
Raleigh.
Okay.
And
Raleighwood, they call it, Allie.
Raleighwood. Yep. So my dad's always like, yeah, Raleigh, I'm pretty cool like that. I'm like, okay, whatever. So when I was applying to colleges, I went to a really small private school, 80 kids in my graduating class. Chadwick. Are you familiar with Chadwick?
Well, I know Manhattan
of.
Beach. My brother
yeah.
lived in Hermosa.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I went
That's
there.
a really good school.
Yeah, it was a great school. I loved it. But for college, I wanted to go big time. We had 8-man football at my high school. I kind of wanted the big time, big league, D1, Greek life, academics, all that stuff. So I ended up going to Georgia, and I went in intended business, and I hated it.
You went into what kind of business?
Intended business.
Oh.
That was my major.
Okay.
And
Intended. We don't.
that's what they
like
call
that.
it. It's like you're intending to be a
Okay.
business major, but you're not there yet.
Oh my
And-
I'm
gosh.
still intending to be a news anchor.
And I was in econ and accounting. I hated my life. I had to withdraw from accounting because I got a 40 on my first exam. I'm really exposing myself right now, but it
40?
was awful. Yeah, Allie, we can't all be gifted like you in certain things, okay? Called my dad saying I needed to transfer because his school's too hard for me. I can't do it. I had a moment freshman year. It was really traumatic
Yeah,
experience.
that's always it's.
Yeah.
You hear that people go to colleges and they find out it's not all it's cracked up to be, or
Right.
it's different than what they thought.
Right,
Yeah.
totally. But that moment drove me to exactly where I was supposed to go because I was switched majors and I kind of sat there and thought, when I was 12, I went to the CNN headquarters and sat with my jacket on and fake anchored the news. And I turned to my mom and said, how can I do that for my job? And then however many years later, I was a big softball player growing up. That was my thing. I played basketball, soccer, volleyball, tennis. Like, I was a son my dad never had.
Okay.
And so when I decided to not play softball in college and go the different route of, having a college experience that's a little different than a D1 athlete would have, I kind of thought, how can I still have sports in my life while also having the passion of, I love meeting different people and talking to people. I can't have a job that's at a cubicle every day. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So sports journalism was the perfect mix of the two. And then I ended up doing a sports media certificate at Georgia, covering Georgia football, covering basketball, dabbling in softball and baseball, and doing sideline reporting for high school football in Georgia.
And then you come back home to USC.
Then I come back home to USC during COVID. So it was I was the COVID class. So there was the weird time where.
So how much are you guys separated by class?
When did you graduate undergrad?
2022.
Okay, 2 years. I was 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. So baby Ally over here was, still doing her thing, thriving, and I was trying to figure out my life. And so I moved back home actually during COVID. Worked remotely for a healthcare company. I hated it, to be honest. It's not my thing. I don't want to do that. And then I thought, and I'm very close with my parents, but I was kind of at the point where I wanted to go back and be with my friends. So I moved back to Atlanta for a year, worked remotely, 5th year of college, if you want to call it that, was loving my life, doing all that. And then I just had a moment where I thought I need to get back into sports broadcasting and what I really want to do. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to go to grad school. Like, that's what I'm going to do, because no one was really hiring at the time. It was still kind of weird. So USC accepted me in their grad program. And actually, fun fact, it's kind of a redemption story for me, because I didn't get in for undergrad. And so it always been a dream of mine to go to USC.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Growing up, that's, I'd go to the UCLA, USC football games and all that. And so I got in for my master's. And that was hands down the best decision I ever made. I learned more in a year there than I think I ever have in my life. And so literally my day of graduation, that Friday, I signed the contract to come to Waco. And then I went and graduated that same exact day.
So you come to Waco. Now, you are obviously extremely tight with Ally, and you see what her life is as a reporter.
Yeah.
Like a news reporter as opposed to sports, and sports can get serious sometimes.
Well, she was.
I
news
actually was
too.
a hybrid.
Yeah.
I did news
really?
and sports when I came here.
So did you guys work ever the same stories? Like
No, because you were mornings.
I was morning. She was evening.
Night side.
But we had many chats about news.
Because
So what did
everybody
you
knows.
think? Oh, Ally, let's go to you first for a second.
Yeah,
to.
come on.
No, because I'm curious. When you see Nicole and you know that she came up doing news, but she's doing sports now. I mean, what you do, you have a great way of making the news fun, and you have an opportunity to do that in the mornings. But you cover hard news.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing. I can't be serious. Okay. Yes, I cover hard news. Yes.
So you cover hard, but you do. And so how do you find yourself? You got friends like Nicole. You got me goofing around back in the studio. You have, your boyfriend who works in finance, but now you're like, you work some hardcore stories. How do you handle that? Like, as somebody who's bubbly and upbeat like you all the time.
I don't know. How do I handle that?
Besides, and you can't say you stuff it and go home and act like everything's all right, because that's probably the truth.
No, yeah, that is the truth. Like, you mean like I just kind of ignore the problem and then I just act like it's not happening?
Well, I mean, because you're a badass.
I would say like I fake confidence a lot.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, is that you have to act like you know everything about this story and you are the authority, and you kind of just have to also have the right intentions about what you're talking about. Like, not just doing a news story because you want to be the top story of the day, but doing it because you want to help people or help a certain cause or inform people about a certain situation. So I guess that appeals to my empathy side, is doing those serious stories too. But I love the fun stories.
Yeah, well, that's so interesting you mentioned that, because you talk about like being the authority. You do work hard to the point like where you kind of are the authority, because when you're doing a story, like it's your topic, you kind of own it. Like, you talk to people before you're on the air. You really are as close as people will get at that point in time to somebody watching at home, right?
I try to be, for sure, and I try to be really on top of everything. Now, like, before I do, like, the interview and kind of research and stuff, I may just know a few things before I show up to the interview.
For sure.
Because I'm like, oh, I'll see what it's about, and then I'll show up, which has kind of bitten me in the butt before, because then I show up and I'm like, wait, I don't know what this is. I'm like, is this a story? But, yeah, I kind of just really embrace every story I cover.
What was it when you talk to athletes? You always say, like, sometimes you talk to like an NBA player, like, what was your welcome to the NBA moment? Like, when you realize, wow, this is different. What was your welcome to like TV news moment?
Welcome TV.
Like when you were like,
where'd you get your TV badge of honor? Where you're like, oh, I'm in this thing.
Was there a particular story?
I don't know. I think like when I started just kind of going off the wall, like just kind of doing crazy stuff. Like on the morning
she does
show
every day.
Yeah.
But like it's just like stuff like ice skating on the news, hanging out with sea lions, like stuff that I kind of just didn't ask to do, but I just kind of did it and it worked, and then people really liked it. So I think like those moments where it's like in my head there's a side of me that's like, this is insane. Is this gonna work? And then there's also another side of like, ooh, this is fun. This is exciting. I'm gonna do it.
But you take chances and you try.
Yes.
Like you and I were talking about this the other day. Like you really do like trust yourself to like you don't leave anything on the table, because a lot of times, I don't know if you do this at any of your reports. Like I've learned this like over the course of many years. But like even when I'm doing games, like if something funny is there, and I know it's gonna be like a good honest joke, but there's something in the back of my mind like, don't do that. It's too serious what's happening now. Don't, like, if you go for it, I don't know that there's, like, it usually really works out and enhances the broadcast because people want to connect with you.
Right.
People like a jokester.
Well, and we're all humans. That's my big thing with athletes is I want to humanize them. They're all, whether you're a pro athlete, college, whoever, whether it's Scott Drew or a player on the team or whatever it is, I want to humanize them.
How do you connect with athletes? Because honestly, that's hard.
Yeah.
Even when I was... It's funny, I'll tell you guys this. When I was working in public relations and I would work with teams, I would get like, these guys were, and even I was a former athlete, like I would get nervous. Like even with guys I was working with, like I would have to get, like let's say this big dude like Gerald Wallace to do an interview, or Emeka Okafor. And I would approach them like they were like the hottest girl at the bar. I was like, can you go over here? I was like, so I felt like less than and stuff.
And then you were clingy, right?
Classic.
That's the worst.
Classic.
I got a girl, and I stopped seeing each other, and I told Allie the story because the girl was like,
"That was your mistake number one."
This is a while. This is a while ago. Can you believe this now?
Like a year ago.
This is more than a year ago. Okay. So I said to Allie, I was like, this girl, she wanted to like take some space, and I was like at a point in my relationship, like I was honestly feeling like I was finally comfortable in my own skin as a person. I'm almost 50, like it's about time. So I'm like, hey, like I don't want to take space. Like either we're gonna be together or we're not gonna be together. And I was like, yeah, Allie, like after that it didn't work, and she goes, oh my God, you're clingy.
I was like.
Okay, I wouldn't call that clingy though.
No, it's not clingy.
Yeah.
That's called bullying.
Yeah,
No
well,
matter
Allie
what
does
you-
that every day, so it's just Allie.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But so you were clingy with athletes, right? No.
I
How
get
do
what
you
you're
connect?
saying though.
But how do you? And I got over that, right? Like, but
For sure.
it's repetition, and you find a way to build connections. But like, literally, when I first started doing that, like, you don't know how to do it.
No,
right
nobody
away.
teaches you.
Nobody teaches you, and that's like really like an inherent like thing that you have to tap into. So how do you do that?
I mean, I will say, being an athlete growing up, like I'm comfortable around it. I'm comfortable around the sport. I was the girl who grew up around a lot of guys. That's just how I was. And
Any brothers, sisters?
Actually, no. I have a half sister who's older than me, daughter on my dad's side. But I'm a daddy's girl, and I always have been. And so, growing up, I've been in those male-dominated industries and games, and I'm watching football on Saturdays and Sundays with my dad. We're talking X's and O's. We're doing all that. And so, when I got into this industry, a lot of the time, you're not always covering male sports, obviously.
Yeah.
But for example, I'll take the example of March Madness with the men's team this year. When I went to Memphis, I wanted to
Talking
not
about
just
Baylor men's basketball.
Yeah, Baylor men's basketball. When I went to Memphis to cover the team, I didn't want to just go live and report about the game. I wanted to go and there was a purpose, right? And so when it came to open locker rooms, I wanted to have fun. Like, I could ask you about what it's going to take to beat Clemson or whatever, but we're going to have fun. So I did a little segment where we're in Memphis. I'm quizzing the players about Elvis trivia songs. I'm like literally singing part of the song, like, you ain't nothing but, like, in the locker room. And these guys are like, what is going on? But they loved it. Like, they thought it was a hoot. And so I think part of the reason of how I connect
You should watch it.
is like
on
being
Instagram.
myself, which is weird. But I mean, they're younger than me. Like, it's not
Isn't
like
that
they're
crazy?
Yeah, they're younger than me. And so it's almost like they're just another college kid.
Totally.
They're really great at their sport and they're very talented, but
Yeah.
it's nothing like, oh my gosh, I can't. They're so on this pedestal that I can't even touch it, you know?
No.
And so I think that really taught me a lot about, hey, we can be cool with athletes. They're friends, you know. It's, yes, we're professional, but there's also an aspect of humanizing them. And
Yeah.
so I think when I went from, because I kind of did a thing of, all right, Jalen was an example. I was like, Jalen, we're going to talk a little bit about the matchup, and then I want to have some fun.
Jalen Bridges.
Yeah, Jalen Bridges. Sorry, I talk like everybody knows
no,
what I'm
no,
talking
it's
about.
great though. Yeah. But Zach
and
will
so-
be doing like a million clips, so you never know. We got to make sure people know who we're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we'll be talking. I'm talking to him about Clemson, and then I say I want to have some fun, and I started kind of doing it, and I mean, they just loved it. Like, the other guys were getting involved. They were laughing. I did a little barbecue thing with them, and I think it taught me how to be like that with players. That's professional, but also you're having fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really popular thing that you're seeing in a lot of sports is that, listen, the average viewer does not care about the X's and O's of the game. They
Yeah.
care about who are the athletes on the court, who's the coach, and what kind of person are they. And I think that really taught me a lot about how to interact with athletes. And I want to get to the point where I'm walking around and, you know, the quarterback's like, hey, Nicole, what's up? That would be like, I made it in a perfect world. And so I want to get to that point, and I think I tried taking those steps. March Madness is a great example. Obviously, there's access problems that you run into with various things, but with March Madness and the locker room access that we had, that was a great opportunity to kind of have fun with it.
Did you ever think about being a sports writer? Like a beat reporter, like covering every game? Because I think that, to me,
What's
Ally,
that?
so a beat reporter is like, if you cover, I knew she didn't know, so I wanted to fill her in because I love her. So a beat reporter, like, covers every game. So, like, if I'm Pete Souza and I cover the Ally Kadlubars, right? And the
That'd
Ally
be fun.
Yeah, it'd be a blast. But no, if I'm Pete Souza and I cover the Mavericks, I'm going to every practice, every game, every even event that I can go to, and like I am the authority for the Dallas Mavericks, and I don't want, like, if Nicole is on the beat and she's working for, you know, the Dallas Morning News, I want to keep her. I want to get stories that she doesn't have. I mean, it's fraternal, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you definitely want to be the place where people go for all the breaking news, you know?
Right.
So what's the appeal and what's the...
I think that for me, the reason I didn't want to go into that is because I know writing's part of our job, but I don't have a passion for writing articles every day and really busting out those columns and stories. For me, it's about, you know, showing like what Ally does. Like, I feel like why we get along so well is we both have so much energy, and you can see that on the TV screen. And I feel like
comes through. People love it.
Yeah, and that's what I really pride myself on, is like bringing that into people's living rooms or whatever it is. And so for me as a beat writer, I couldn't do that part of it. And
What about scoops? Like Darby Brown came in here. Like,
right.
Darby's the absolute greatest. I love her. But here's somebody, she's cool. You obviously are competing with her for stories. You know, take us into that world.
I mean, what I love, I will say about Waco specifically, is how, yes, we're competing stations, and yes, we're both trying to do the
Scott
same
Drew thing's
thing.
a great example.
It's a great example. It's one of those things where, like, I mean, I personally learned so much from Darby in that situation of, you know, she has established herself here. She's got the relationships. She's got the connections, and that's very admirable. Like, the way she went about doing that, I personally learned a lot of, if I'm ever in a situation like that again, somewhere else, where I've established myself and really gotten those connections, I'm going to look to how she handled it on how I want to handle it, you know?
Oh,
and so
what'd she do?
she was like literally
Like
She was at the airport. She was, getting the scoop on the family going to Kentucky.
She used all of her contacts to cover it in the right way.
For sure.
In the best way possible, where people were getting information and news that they didn't know before they had heard from her. But also she wasn't like, it didn't feel weird.
No, for sure.
Right?
It wasn't like she's overstepping. No, it was
Which it
totally
can feel weird.
professional.
Even like when you get on social media today, there's just, it's such a... Rat race is a overused term, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like everybody. We just saw it with the Lakers with Shams Charania and Adrian Wojnarowski, where these two people are competing.
Allie's like, who?
Yeah.
These two people are competing to find out the scoop about who's going to be the next head coach of the Lakers.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So Allie, back to you. I want to talk to you a little bit about you and Nicole are tight. You hang out together, right? Did you talk to her about what happened with the people on the phone when you ended up at Walmart?
I haven't seen her since.
You haven't told her?
I haven't talked to her in a second.
What happened with the people on the phone?
I got scammed.
Oh,
I got scammed real bad.
What happened?
I got an email saying you were charged $676 for security software that I thought I had on my personal computer.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm going to be responsible and I'm going to call to cancel it. And then they downloaded something on my computer, told me to log into my online banking.
Allie!
Froze my account. And then they also like...
Why does this really just make sense?
They froze my account, and then I was like, I'm gonna call my mom. Like, and he was like, if you hang up, I'm gonna freeze your account for 30 days. You're gonna have to get an attorney, go to court, and you won't be able to see your money for 30 days.
No, this is scary.
Allie.
And I felt terrible for Allie.
I called Pete, right?
Oh my God.
Like,
it's a lesson for all of us, right? I mean,
because
that can happen. But my favorite part about this story was how Allie, the guy was like, oh, it's okay, girl. Like,
girl?
He was like, this is a guy like probably in a different country.
For sure.
Like he's in India or something.
I don't know. That's where he told me to send the money to.
Okay, that, yeah.
I didn't lose any money. I just had to like cancel my debit card and stuff.
So it didn't get too far. Okay.
It got far.
It got far, but it didn't get to the point where you had lost all this money. That's
no,
good.
I didn't lose all the money.
Pro.
What would you say to someone like to avoid that? Really? Because you ended up at Walmart. Like
Walmart? Why are you
Yeah, if you saw a little blonde girl in a purple dress, like freaking sweating. Yeah, because, like, okay, I think I took my, like, as journalists, we're supposed to be skeptical, like, ask questions, which I did, but I think I took my journalism hat off. I was also really, really tired and was just trying to be responsible. And so I took that hat off and I put, like, naive, innocent little Allie hat on. And was
Isn't
like,
that weird how that works? How we kind of, especially, like I am, I can say this now because I'm not going to be on the news much longer, but, like, I like, there are points that call for me to be like this journalist.
Yeah.
And it is purposeful.
like when you'll say in the morning show, like, we need to have this in, or we need to have that in, or we need to move that up.
You think I'm pretending?
No. I don't think you're pretending.
Yeah.
I think, but then some days you're like, nothing. I'm like, is no one going to say anything about this?
No, and that's when Allie steps up. So I think like it's weird to go back and forth. And sometimes you are just spent. So you called Jared, your boyfriend.
No, I texted him.
Yeah. And you said.
Well, I was walking into Walmart and was like, I'm scared. Like, I think something's wrong.
Because you kept the guy kept you on the phone.
Oh, yeah, so you were still on the phone with this guy walking into Walmart? Oh,
so that, I think, is the key here for people to learn.
Yeah.
They kept you on the phone the whole time, right?
Because they know, that's red flag.
Yeah, because they told me I would have to get an attorney. And I was like, I don't want an attorney. And they were like, don't worry about it, girl. It's all going to be okay.
Girl, yeah, girl.
And he was like, are you stressed? And I was like, yes. And he was like, do you have anxiety? And I was like, yes. And he was like, yeah, me too, And he was telling me about, like, his background, how he's been in finance. He lives in New York. I was like,
Was there an accent on this guy?
Yeah, like what?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question for you. You got an email first, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the email, like, what's it called, username or
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
said. Was it sus looking?
No, it said Google verified.
Okay, because
Yeah.
at work they make us do these like cybersecurity.
We do that
tests.
too.
And y'all, sometimes I fail the quizzes and I have to
I've-
take
I've-
them
I've-
500 times.
Yeah, I've gone through some hoops with those. There's no question.
Yeah, but that's one of the things. It's always like check the, if it's like
Yeah.
cat lover dogs
No,
XYZ.
it seemed
whatever.
so real.
But that's Allie called me. So this is. And
I had
I'm
my
not blowing-
mom
So
and
sorry, Allie.
no, it's okay. It was just like
didn't
I'm
know
not
she
blowing
was
smoke,
going through
Allie.
this trauma.
Like you're a brilliant.
I thought it
reporter.
was kind of funny though.
It's
at the end of the
hilarious.
day,
That's terrifying though. It is.
but I was on
hilarious.
the phone with Jared and my mom. We were on a conference call.
oh my gosh.
And like my mom was like, cancel your like banking, online banking, or change your password. And Jared was like walking me through it too. So it was, and I don't know, they were being so nice. I was like, I'm such an idiot. Like, am I gonna get punished? Like, Mom, are you gonna
Isn't that
ground
funny?
me?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like that feeling of like,
Right,
I
right,
messed up, but they
right.
were actually pretty. They were pretty
Well,
nice
I'm glad
about
it's
it.
okay now.
But so isn't that interesting? Like you really are when you put like your broadcasting and reporter. You're a brilliant broadcaster.
Yeah, I would have never. I don't know. I wouldn't have fallen for that, but I also trust people a lot.
Yeah.
Because
And that's a big part of our job.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah,
how old are you?
I'm 24.
24. How old are you, Nicole?
26.
26. Like you're growing up before our eyes.
Yeah.
Like I believe that. I've seen you, and this is one thing too. I wanted to ask you about this with Allie. When Allie started, it was like this is her first big job outside of the Today Show,
Right.
right? Because she interned at the Today Show.
So cool. Also.
So she's broadcasting. She's a morning anchor, and I've watched her like, and now she's all everybody talks about when they are like reach out to our station. You guys both won the award.
We did.
Yeah, that was
So
special.
you guys both won,
She won 2 awards, right? 3.
but you guys both got like
3
best.
awards.
Basically, you won in the title in your weight class for each of you, right? Like for
Right.
what was the name of Allie? What was the name of the award?
I'm like weight class.
What was the name of the award?
Texas
was like a boxing terminology.
Association of Broadcasters.
It was you got best MMJ, right?
Yeah,
And what'd
and
you
you
get?
got best.
It was
sports-
best sports reporter and best sports anchor.
and
and-
best sports.
Oh, the sports story.
Yeah.
What sports story was it?
It was the story I did on the Braylon Henry at Lorena.
Oh.
He broke his dad's rushing touchdown record.
Yes.
And his dad was there to see it happen. And I got like old footage from when his dad played at Lorena and did a whole thing on it. So
Nice.
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
They're a really cool duo. It was fun to catch up with them and all that.
Should Caitlin Clark have made the USA women's basketball team?
No.
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 All right,
I
tell me
know
why.
about this.
Tell me why
I
not.
just think that, and okay, first of all, no, Caitlin Clark has changed women's sports, period. Like,
Yeah.
end of story. I have loved watching her. I have loved getting so invested in all that. She is an incredible athlete. But I think with the U.S. team, it's the best players, right, on the team. And yes, Caitlin Clark is extremely talented. But I don't think she's there yet. I don't think she's ready to be on that team yet. I think in 4 years, yeah, she'll be on that team. Or 3 years even. Or maybe 2 years. But I think she's not quite ready to be on that team yet. She has to prove herself a little more in the big leagues.
Do you think it would have maybe been ruffled some feathers, like team chemistry wise? Like, do you think there was any behind the scenes? Because Allie, like, there's a little bit of, people say at least, there's like some resentment from players that have been around the WNBA for a long time, and now they have this bright new star that's come into the league that's getting all the attention, and she's only played 12 games as of today.
Oh, that's got to be annoying.
I will say, though, and I will say, if you watch any of Caitlin Clark's press conferences or anything like that, she's extremely humble, like with what she says. She has great ownership of, if she makes a mistake, she owns it. Like, I don't think yes, I think there would have been players if she made the team that it would have said, dang, like I've been here for however many years and I haven't made the team.
Yeah.
But I think they also respect what she's done for the game. And I think there's a level of that is so respected that other aspect goes out the window.
Do you think it's overblown?
What?
That people say like other athletes in the league like resent her and stuff like that?
I do. I mean, I definitely think, there's probably some. I'm just thinking about her teammates. I mean, they were all pumped to have her on the team, right?
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about, I'm sure there's some stuff we don't see behind the scenes where, they look at her and they're like, this is the new kid on the block and she's the talk of the town. Like, I could see how that could be frustrating. But I think there's this level of respect that kind of goes above that, in terms of she has done, and not just her. It's, yes, she's brought a lot of eyes to the game, but I mean, we've seen that level of growth slowly happening, and this year it really just took off, and she's a big reason for that. But I think, everybody in the game is now benefiting from that. And so I think there's a level of respect to Caitlin Clark specifically that all of her teammates have, and that the whole W in general has for her, that the jealousy or she just showed up kind of is not as much as what I think people think it is.
Well, see, but Ally's a great example. Like, you know exactly who she is.
Right. Yeah. Right? And you don't even watch women's basketball, really, right?
She played at Baylor.
No, she played at Iowa.
But you know who she is,
Wait, I
right?
thought she played at Baylor.
No, Caitlin Clark played at Iowa.
There was a different Caitlin who played at Baylor.
Caitlin
Bickle.
Yeah, Caitlin Bickle. But
okay, no, this is the same. My Caitlin Clark played at Baylor, and then she got drafted into the.
Ally Kadlubar, folks.
Wait, you get drafted, right?
She did.
Into the.
She played at Iowa.
She played basketball.
She played at Iowa.
Wait, let me guess what team she's on.
Okay.
There's no chance.
No way.
I'll give you $100 if you can.
I'll add 50 to that.
The
Now I'm hoping
Philadelphia,
she doesn't pull it out.
Pennsylvania.
She started with Philadelphia, and I was like, oh.
Pennsylvania.
No.
The
Indiana Fever.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When did you know that you wanted to be a reporter in TV news? Like, what was the moment for you?
I still don't know.
She still doesn't know she was.
So there's some days though I wake up.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's some
We
days
all
where-
have it, yeah.
Now I know your job is hard. Your job is the hardest job of anybody in TV news. I truly believe that. There's no harder job than a morning MMJ reporter.
Yeah.
Walk me through a day. I'm serious. Of you on a day where you have a tough story to do. I want to hear it.
It's so sad. No, it's weird. I don't know. I wake up at 2:30 a.m. and
After drinks with Nicole.
no,
Yes.
I don't
midnight.
drink.
That's not consistent. But I know that happened like once or something, which I was like so blown away.
We have gotten better where we do it at like happy hour time.
Yeah,
We do it
Just
at
totally
happy hour
good.
time,
Sleep
and like we also do it on days that we're off.
Yes, exactly.
But anyways, yeah, I wake up at 2:30 a.m. to like my alarm. Do you want to hear my alarm sound?
I
Oh,
would
boy.
love to, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's the worst.
Although I'm notorious for oversleeping.
Oh,
Like-
I've heard.
Like legit oversleeping. Like we don't know where this dude is. Allie
Like
has,
we've literally almost had to go and check on Pete to make sure he was alive.
people
Okay.
have come.
Yeah?
Bob Walters, our boss, who I like
No
to
way.
give, I like to mess with him and give him a hard
Yeah.
time. The dude came to my door.
Allie,
Isn't
that's
that the
horrendous?
freaking worst?
Wait,
Wait, that's not one of the iPhone sounds. Did you like download
No,
that?
I literally have an app that wakes me up and I have to do a little
you play it
mission
again?
and I have to shake my phone 50 times or it won't shut the F up.
Hold on.
Wait.
You have a special app?
Yes! Because my boyfriend Jared was my alarm clock for the longest time,
That's
for like
true.
Yeah.
7 months.
That's
and so
fair.
then he left
So
and
you have to get your phone. You have to shake it how many times, really?
30 to 50 times. So
Like-
I'm just like, so sometimes I'll be
Allie's
like, sometimes I'll be ambitious and I'll be like, I'm going to wake up at 2. And then I'll like hear that freaking sound at 2 a.m.
awful.
And it's like must shake 20 times in order to stop. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God.
All right. So wait. So to go back to your day.
yeah.
So this
Well,
is.
wait, I
I'm
haven't-
already exhausted and we haven't even left the house.
We have not even like
Yeah.
gotten ready. At
I
this
also have an
point.
alarm clock that I put under my head and it shakes my head to wake up to.
So keep going. Keep
It's
going.
okay. I wake up at 2:30, and then I'm out the door by like 3, and then I'm like, okay. I really kind of spend my morning kind of just thinking about what I want my story to look like,
Because you already know what it's going to be
yeah.
conceptually.
and some days I'm like, I really don't want to do this story today. Like, I wish there was breaking news, but I don't want anything bad to happen.
Yeah, sure.
Because
Because if there's breaking
That in
news,
itself, that she wishes there's breaking news, just shows the kind of incredible reporter she is. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people are like,
Don't
"Oh,
like that.
please no, please no."
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. And
I'm on
she
top
has
of
the
that.
story planned already.
Exactly.
It's not like she's desperate.
Right.
Right. Just insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get to the station. I edit my video, write my script. Well, okay, wait. I edit my video and then grab all my stuff, my freaking tripod, my camera, like all this stuff, and I'm just loaded up with all this stuff.
Yeah, stuff.
For lack of a better, there is better words. But okay, and so then I hop in my car, and then I'm just praying that I get there before 4:30 a.m. Because some days I type it in my little maps, and I'm like, we're cutting it close
4:30
today.
a.m. That's when the show starts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're cutting it close today. And then I'm like, kind of driving the speed limit. And then, I get to where I need to be and write my script. And then I'm live.
Which, by the way, that's what people do on Good Morning America.
I wish, though,
Like-
that, if only someone was driving me,
Yeah.
that would save me so
Then
much.
you could work in the car.
When you're at Good Morning America, somebody's
Yeah. You have that. At Good
No,
Morning
I
America.
know. I've always thought about, I wish I could just go straight from my apartment to where I need to go.
Because
Because
if-
it would
if people
save,
in-
Wait,
at
why
least
can't
20
you?
minutes. Because I don't have a work car.
Oh.
So I have to go to
You
the
can't
figure
figure that
station.
out.
No, I think you can, Allie.
Well, I have to go to the station, say hi, you know.
She's got to say hi, everyone.
I'm not there. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and then I have to, I don't know. So it just wastes 30 minutes of my time.
You
Right.
don't waste 30 minutes. So you get ready. You talk to. Is it a waste of time? You think?
Driving there and then driving
Gotcha.
where
So
I need
that
to go.
I hear
You could avoid that
Yeah.
step.
And just so
Yeah.
people know,
I'm
they're
like, it's
used-
been 2 years. I've been doing the same thing. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid growing up, and even until, probably 10, 15 years ago, every reporter had a photographer that
Right.
that drove them around. Now it's just not the case. It's super rare, even in big markets now.
Mm-hmm.
They have, they'll be driving themselves around.
Yep.
So, all right, so you go, you do your,
Okay. So then I'm like, and it's dark usually. 9 times out of 10, it is me and the darkness and the mosquitoes. And that's it. And I'm praying that there's nothing else, usually I'm just setting up my camera, just hoping that a dog doesn't come and attack me or worse. Cause I'm, alone and then I set it up and then I'm live every half hour, twice, one for the preview, one for my story, every half hour until 7. I don't know. I don't want to bore y'all. And then I just kind of do this. And then I just work on my story for the next day.
No. Then you do a look live.
Yeah, then I
which is
record
show
a
that we could use-
version.
Yeah.
Then I'm just asked to do a short story, but I usually like to do the longer stories.
What time do you
because I'm
usually go
insane.
home?
I usually go home between 1 and 3 p.m.
Yeah.
But today I went home early because I don't know. I rarely go home before 1 p.m. though.
If you could give Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck relationship advice, what would it be? Are you familiar with what's going on there?
No.
Okay, the two of them are getting divorced almost. What would your advice be?
They're
You're
not
an LA
married,
girl.
are they?
Huh?
Are they married
Yeah,
again?
they did get married. I
Again.
don't know why. Yeah.
You know, my advice would be maybe date someone not in the spotlight. Maybe
stop
let's
dating.
go for the average Joe. I don't know. I just think,
Average Joe.
Who's going to be the next coach of the Lakers?
I really thought Dan Hurley was going to be the guy.
Are you a Lakers fan?
I am. I grew up a Lakers fan. I will never forget the day that I met Kobe Bryant. That was very cool.
Talk to us.
Yeah. So I was probably 11.
You met Kobe Bryant.
I was probably 11 years old. I played basketball growing up. I was a big basketball girl. And my mom won these courtside tickets for some auction thing she won. And so my dad and I went.
To a Lakers game. Mm-hmm. Allie, we're talking.
Lakers
This
is
is-
California.
She won. Yeah, she won. I
But
don't even know
courtside
what.
seats for a Laker game, I mean,
Yeah.
forget about it.
It was pretty awesome. And so we go and, they do the whole thing and I'm watching warm-ups. I'm doing all this stuff. And, I'm a little girl with my Kobe jersey on. And Kobe comes up to me and he starts talking and we're talking about how I played basketball and I loved his game. And we were just nicest guy ever. That day, I'll never forget that day. That was the saddest day in history. Awful. And I always joke with my dad that the hand that he gave me a high five on, I never wanted to wash it because I touched Kobe
You
Bryant's
still
hand.
haven't. You still haven't.
I still haven't to this very day. But as a kid who, I loved basketball. I was really in my basketball phase in that moment. I played basketball all through high school too. And
Where'd you play?
where did I play?
Like, what did you play? Like,
I was your low post.
oh, really?
I was the tallest girl on the team, if that tells you anything. And I'm not even that tall. I'm 5'8.5".
Yeah,
I'm not
that's pretty tall,
anything.
though. Yeah.
But yeah, I was your. They called me the defensive specialist. My shot was right at the top of the key, right there in the corner. That was like my go-to shot right there. And I mean, I wasn't your fast girl. No,
Yeah.
I was not a good ball handler. I was fine, but I wasn't your typical that. I was going to throw my body on the ground, get the ball, defend like no other, and cause havoc for the other team on defense.
What kind of
was
player do you think Ally would be?
I know. I was a basketball player.
She was.
Yeah.
I kind of get like point guard energy.
I was a point guard.
Really?
Wow.
I was a point guard from like 3rd grade. I played like the little hoops. My dad was a coach, so maybe that's why I was a point guard. But yeah, and then I played until 7th grade, and I was just known as Spazzy Ally, like
That makes
freaking
sense.
breaking my ankles.
Oh.
What about? Are you watching this FX show called Clipped about the Clippers?
No.
You need to watch it.
Is it good?
It's
Okay.
really good. Allie, anything else? We got to wrap up.
Relationship advice for Jennifer Lopez
And Ben Affleck, anything?
Speechless. Speechless.
Nicole, Allie, I can't thank you guys enough. Really, it was a lot of fun.
This was so fun.
Yeah,
Thank you,
this
Pete.
is
This was
fun.
awesome. When
Yeah.
she told me that you were gonna have us on the show, I was pumped. This is perfect.
Yeah, no, she told me I was like super encouraged and like pumped. And
Yeah.
Allie always delivers. I figured you would too, and of course you did.
I gotta hold my weight over here,
Yeah.
so
All right, ladies, thanks.
All right.
Thanks for watching the Pete Souza Show on the Rogue Sports Network. As always, we'll be back next week. Don't forget, we're coming back every day when we get into August and September. Probably September.
We are Rogue Media Sports.